Hey folks, Fromark here once again with the Fromark Plays Show, and this time around I'm going to be playing an ultimate all-time classic. This is Super Mario World. Originally released in 1990 in Japan on the Super Famicom, and 1991 in the States on the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. And honestly folks, this is an all-time favorite of mine, and I know it's on a lot of people's best of and all-time lists. And I would say this is probably my second favorite game ever, only behind the OG Rayman. But anyways, folks, welcome! This is Dinosaur Land. In this strange land we find that Princess Toadstool is missing again. Looks like Bowser is at it again. So yes, once again you got your standard Mario plot. The princess has been captured by Bowser and it is up to us to save the day. And we're traveling in World 1, Yoshi's Island. And if the name Yoshi's Island sounds familiar, that's because that game is the prequel to this game, despite the fact that it is called Super Mario World 2. But anyways, there's a lot to unpack here, as there's also that new power-up ability where Mario can smash through blocks. It's called the Spin Jump, although it is only available if you are Super Mario. And also, there's little candy cane looking stripy things back there, or checkpoints. There are bigger versions of those at the end of each level, and those are the end goals. But I haven't shown one of those off just quite yet. You gotta deal with them giant bullet bills. Also, if you're holding one of them Koopa shells, you can actually kick them upwards for the first time in a Mario game here. And the Fire Flower power-up is reintroduced, as you can turn enemies into coins. But yes, this stripey thing here, if you cross it at a certain, depending on how high or low it is, it will give you a certain number of points, which, if you get to 100, will take you to a bonus room and you can get some extra lives. Which extra lives are pretty easy to get in this game. If I do say so myself, anyways. But anyways, here we got the first of 4 different Switch Palaces in the game. This is the Yellow Switch Palace, folks. And the Switch Palaces are all pretty neat. They're like little bonus-like areas where you can, like this one, where you can get a bunch of coins and get a couple extra lives out of it. But ultimately, the end goal here is to go through the pipe and hit the switch over here, which the power of the switch you have pressed will turn blank into exclamation point block. Also, your progress will be saved. Which is pretty cool, as this is the first Mario game actually to introduce the save feature. So I imagine a lot of people in the early 90s thought that was pretty cool. But yes, there's little silhouette blocks that I've turned into exclamation point blocks. So those are now platforms, which you will see some of examples of later throughout the game. Like that one in the middle right there. Some of them will have items in them, which is also a cool bonus. Also, some blocks will have these. Yoshi. Hooray, thanks for rescuing me. My name is Yoshi. On my way to rescue my friends, Bowser trapped me in that egg. And yes, this is Yoshi. He likes to eat a lot, and if you give him certain colored Koopa shells, he will do different abilities. And there are certain multicolor Yoshis throughout the game if you know where to look. But we ain't there yet, folks. Also, there's coins that I'm obtaining, those giant dragon coins right there. If I get 5 of those, it will give me an extra life, like I just did. Also, since I already have Yoshi, you may have noticed that when I hit that block back there, the Yoshi egg hatched out an extra life. If you already have a Yoshi active on screen anywhere, unfortunately, I just lost my Yoshi, but if you have a Yoshi active anywhere near that block, it'll just turn the egg into an extra life. Once again, though, I want to point out, getting extra lives in this game is fairly easy to do, and you can rack up a ton of them if you really wanted to. And here we got Yoshi's Island number 3, keeping things moving along, folks. If I didn't hit that yellow switch, those yellow blocks would probably just be empty silhouettes that take me to my death. But no need to worry, folks. Plus, I got another Yoshi at the moment. If I were to swallow one of those red Koopa shells, it would allow Yoshi to spit out fireballs. The green ones don't do anything, though. The blue ones allow Yoshi to sprout wings and fly for a moment, and the yellow ones allow him to stomp for a moment. And depending on what color Yoshi you get, any shell that you eat will pretty much do whatever color Yoshi is. So like if you're a yellow Yoshi, every shell will actually allow you to just stomp and only stomp. But like I said, I haven't shown off the colored Yoshis yet, so I'm getting a little ahead of myself here. I'm gonna keep things moving along to Yoshi's Island 4. Honestly, this is probably one of my favorite levels in the game, and I really like the water effects here, the faux transparency, if you will. As it's just a checkerboard pattern if you look closely enough. Also, this game reintroduces the Superstar power-up, which this time around in Super Mario World, if you use the Superstar power-up, it'll give you a bunch of extra lives, which is something you can exploit in later levels. Also, you notice those little blue boxes right there? Those are just little things that give you helpful hints and advice. Most of those are located early in the game, though. And here we got the first castle, Iggy's Castle. I-G-G-Y, I-I-G-G-Y. Anyways, you can't take Yoshi into the castle with you for some reason. I don't know if it's because he's afraid or just because it makes sense, since for this part of the castle you gotta climb fence, and I don't think Yoshi would be able to do that. Also, if you bonk the Koopa shells, if you stay on the fence long enough and bonk a certain number of Koopa shells, it racks up points and gives you extra lives that way. Most exploitable in the fourth castle in the game. But, once again, getting ahead of myself, folks. But this is a game I have a lot of fond memories with. I was practically born playing Super Mario World. As my parents got this was like the first game they got on their Super Nintendo back in the Christmas of '92. And I was born a few years after that, but whenever I was growing up, they had that Super Nintendo, and Super Mario World was almost always hooked up out in the living room, and a lot of memories were made, folks. It doesn't really get much better than this for me. Even if the OG Rayman is my favorite game of all time, this is definitely a close second. But anyways, here we got the first boss battle, folks. This is Iggy Koopa. And the boss battles in this game, I want to point out, are mostly pretty bare bones and pretty easy to take care of, as you can plainly see. And some of the boss battles actually kind of get recycled for different Koopas in this game, which is also a little bit of a bummer, but it doesn't really take away from the game, to be honest. I've rescued one of Yoshi's friends. And the first castle has been destroyed, folks. Mario's defeated the demented Iggy Koopa in Castle Number 1 and rescued Yoshi's friend, who is still trapped in an egg. Together they will travel to Donut Land. Even though throughout Donut Land it's referred to as Donut Plains, and I will refer to it as such as well. But this is Donut Plains 1, folks. And this level introduces the new power-up, the Super Feather. The Flying Cape Feather there, which will allow Mario to fly for an unlimited amount of time, if you wish. Although sometimes I get myself in a bit of a situation there, as you plainly seen. I really hate those enemies, the Koopa football players, or Charging Chucks as they're actually known. Quite a nuisance. But my favorite combo to get throughout the game is Cape Mario with a Yoshi. Because even though you can't fly as long as you're riding Yoshi and you got Cape Mario, you can still get a pretty good boost of speed and launch off the ground and get a pretty good little jump out of it. So the Super Feather is one of my favorite power-ups in all of Mario history. I like it better than the Super Leaf, to be honest. I keep wanting to say Super Leaf because my mind's still thinking about Mario 3, but this is Mario 4, if you will. And I managed to take a shortcut there and show off one of the secret exits. This is, I believe, the first secret exit, folks. But I will go ahead and go back through here and get the other exits, since I am all about trying to 100% this game. This will be a 100% or 96 exit playthrough, so it may take a little longer than most Let's Plays you're accustomed to, but I feel like I split it up fairly evenly. Now I'll go ahead and get me another one of those Yoshis, and the goal here now is to just get to the end of the level. But yeah, some levels have different exits, different ways to get through, to get to the end. Some have keys, some have other tape things like that. It just depends. You gotta know where to look sometimes. But yeah, this is an all-time favorite of mine for sure. Not only did I grow up playing it on the Super Nintendo, but I also briefly owned it on the Game Boy Advance, the Super Mario Advance 2 as it was known on GBA. I bought it off of one of my friends who also sold me a Game Boy Advance with it. I think I only paid $10 for both total, which is quite a steal, especially in today's market. Kinda wish I still had that Game Boy, but that's neither here nor there. This is probably one of my least favorite levels in the game, folks. This is Donut Plains 2. Unfortunately, this is an auto-scroller, and if you've seen my Mario 3 playthrough, you know I'm not really a big fan of the auto-scroller levels, as I feel like they kind of drag the level out and just make it a little bit more of a chore to get through. I guess this one's probably the worst of it just because there's two different exits you gotta deal with. See that green silhouette there? That means there's a green Switch Palace nearby. Speaking of green, you gotta look out for those green bat things that kind of just swoop in out of the way. I can't remember the name of them. Might be swoopers, but I'd have to double check. I think for somebody who knows Super Mario World like the back of his hand, he would know a little bit more about the enemies and the names of the enemies. I wonder if Yoshi's gonna come back. Sometimes he will, even if he travels a long distance away. It does not look like Yoshi's going to return, folks. I would say he probably fell to the oblivion below. But yeah, this part here just kind of drudges on for a second, and then it moves right back along over here. All you really gotta do is either duck or jump off at the right time. Got me another extra life there, so lives are not gonna be an issue in this playthrough at all, really. Now go ahead and break that tape, get 26 points. Ooh, I get to show off the first bonus round. Now these bonus rounds are pretty cool, folks. Bonus game, anyway. Now the goal is to match all the blocks with the block in the center. However, you can still get a couple extra lives regardless if you at least get a couple of patterns out of it. And that's not gonna do it for Donut Plains 2, actually, as I've got one more exit to take. I like how some of those blocks will just keep giving you coins for a brief moment. Don't really need that super mushroom. In most versions of Super Mario World, if you press the select button, that little blue box that's holding your backup item will drop the item. As I actually really like that feature in this game, how there's that little box there that gives you little backup items and whatnot. Always a good thing to have, as if you get hit, it pretty much turns you back into Small Mario. Which is kind of a bummer, but it's just the way they made it. Really no big deal. Now that alternate exit that's in Donut Plains 2. So about that, that's up here in this pipe up here. So I'm gonna go ahead and slide on up here, see what's going on, dodge those charging chucks. And I don't need to get the Koopa shell to bonk that box open. I'll just climb up the vine. I still miss that site or app, by the way, Vine. It was cooler than TikTok, in my opinion. But anyways, let's go ahead and get that green switch palace. Now, this is another one where you can get an extra life if you're capable enough. You just gotta let that little Koopa kick the shell. And as you've seen, I got the extra life. And it looks like that's going to do it for the Green Switch Palace. And actually, folks, it looks like it's going to do it for Part 1 of Super Mario World. And I hope you will tune in to the rest of this playthrough, because all the good stuff is yet to come. Anyways, I will see you in Part 2, folks. Later.